Imagine you are in a foreign country. You do not speak the language or understand the customs. To fit in and stay safe, you watch everyone very closely. You copy their gestures, their smiles, and the way they speak. You are performing a role, pretending to be someone you are not just to get through the day. This is a little like what masking can feel like for many autistic people. It is a social survival strategy, a way of hiding one's natural autistic traits to blend in with the non-autistic or neurotypical world around them. It is not about being dishonest, it is about protecting oneself from misunderstanding, judgment, and sometimes even unkindness. The reasons for masking are as varied and individual as the people themselves. Often it begins in childhood, a quiet and unconscious response to feeling different. An autistic child might notice that their way of playing is not like the other children's, or that their intense joy over a small detail is met with confusion. They might be told to stop fidgeting or make eye contact. These small, repeated messages from the world teach them that their natural way of being is somehow incorrect. To earn praise, to make friends, or simply to avoid being singled out, they start to build a mask piece by piece, learning the right way to behave. This performance is a constant and demanding effort. It involves actively suppressing natural instincts, like the need to stim, which might be rocking, hand flapping, or making small repetitive movements to regulate emotions and sensory input. Instead, they might force themselves to sit perfectly still, even when it feels deeply uncomfortable. It means consciously thinking about social rules that others seem to know without trying. They might rehearse conversations in their head, create scripts for common social situations, and force facial expressions that do not match how they truly feel inside. It is a full-time job with no breaks, a play where the actor never gets to leave the stage. The goal of this intricate performance is simple: acceptance and safety. In a world that often celebrates one narrow definition of normal, being different can feel dangerous. Autistic individuals may mask to succeed at school or work, where social expectations can be rigid and unforgiving. They may do it to form friendships or romantic relationships, fearing that their authentic self would be too much for others to handle. It is a profound act of adaptation, born from a deep human need to connect and belong. But this constant act of self-suppression, this hiding of one's true nature, comes at a very high price, one that is often paid in silence and solitude. So how does one actually wear this invisible mask? It is a complex process, a series of conscious choices and learned behaviors that become almost second nature over time. A key part is mimicry. An autistic person might carefully observe a popular classmate or a charismatic colleague, studying their mannerisms, their tone of voice, and their sense of humor. They then try to replicate these behaviors in their own interactions, like an actor learning their lines and blocking. They might even adopt a social script, a pre-prepared set of phrases and questions to use in conversations, ensuring they always have something appropriate to say, even if it feels hollow or inauthentic. Another crucial part of the mask is forced social engagement. While an autistic person's natural inclination might be to listen quietly or to find solace in solitude after a busy day, masking demands the opposite. It means pushing oneself to join group conversations, even when the noise and multiple voices are overwhelming. It means forcing a smile at a party when all you want to do is find a quiet corner. It requires making and holding eye contact, which for many autistic people can feel intensely invasive and distracting. They are constantly fighting against their own wiring, pushing their sensory and social limits far beyond what is comfortable or sustainable. This performance requires an incredible amount of mental energy. Imagine your brain is a computer with several programs running at once. For a neurotypical person, social interaction might be one simple background program. For a masking autistic person, it is like running dozens of complex applications simultaneously. One program is for monitoring their facial expression, another for their body language, another for decoding the other person's tone of voice, and yet another for planning what to say next. This constant high-level processing is utterly exhausting. It leaves very little mental capacity for anything else, making it difficult to concentrate on the actual content of the conversation or the task at hand. The result is that the person behind the mask becomes a carefully curated version of themselves. They may appear calm, sociable, and perfectly at ease, while internally they are running a frantic marathon of calculations and suppressions. Friends and colleagues may describe them as a bit quiet or shy, never suspecting the monumental effort happening just beneath the surface. They might be the person who always says yes to social invitations, but seems to fade into the background, or the one who is brilliant in one-on-one conversations, but struggles in large groups. This carefully constructed persona is the mask in action, a shield that both protects and imprisons. Living behind a mask for years or even decades takes a profound and heavy toll on a person's well-being. The constant mental effort required to suppress one's true self is not just tiring, it is deeply corrosive. It can lead to a state of chronic anxiety, a persistent feeling of being on edge, constantly worried about the mask slipping and revealing the real person underneath. Every social interaction becomes a high-stakes test, and the fear of failure is ever present. This anxiety doesn't just switch off when they are alone, it lingers, a background hum of stress that permeates every aspect of their life, making true rest and relaxation feel impossible. This sustained high-level stress often culminates in what is known as autistic burnout. This is not simply feeling tired. It is a state of complete and utter exhaustion, physical, mental, and emotional. It is the result of the body and mind finally running out of the resources needed to maintain the performance. During burnout, skills that were once manageable, even with effort, can disappear. The ability to speak, to socialize, to manage daily tasks, or even to get out of bed can be lost. It is a debilitating shutdown, a forced and often lengthy period of recovery where the person has no choice but to let the mask fall, simply because they no longer have the energy to hold it up. One of the most painful consequences of long-term masking is a profound loss of identity. When you spend your entire life performing as someone else, it can become incredibly difficult to know who you truly are without the mask. The person's own likes, dislikes, needs, and comforts have been ignored for so long that they become strangers to themselves. They may ask, what do I actually enjoy? What do I think? Who am I when no one is watching? This disconnection from the self is a lonely and confusing experience, creating a deep sense of emptiness. It can feel as though the mask has fused with their skin, and they have forgotten the face that lies beneath. This internal struggle often leads to significant mental health challenges. The anxiety, the burnout, and the loss of self are a heavy burden to carry alone. It is no surprise that autistic individuals who mask heavily are at a much higher risk of developing conditions like depression and other anxiety disorders. They are fighting a silent battle, often appearing fine on the outside while feeling like they are slowly crumbling on the inside. The very tool they use to connect with others, the mask, is the same thing that isolates them in their own experience, preventing them from seeking the understanding and support they so desperately need. So, how can we, as friends, family, teachers, and colleagues, help? The first step is to cultivate awareness and look beyond the surface. We can learn to notice the subtle signs of masking. Is there a person who seems perfectly composed at work or school, but is completely depleted and non-verbal at home? Do you know someone who agrees to social plans but always seems to have a last-minute reason to cancel? Pay attention to the person who contributes brilliantly in writing but is quiet in meetings. These can be signs of someone pouring all their energy into a mask, leaving nothing for themselves. Recognizing this effort without judgment is the beginning of true support. Creating a safe environment for someone to unmask is a gentle and gradual process. It is about replacing judgment with acceptance. Instead of saying, "Why are you so quiet?" one might say, "It's lovely to just sit here with you. We don't need to talk." Instead of insisting on eye contact, we can let them know it is okay to look wherever they feel comfortable. We can offer alternatives to overwhelming social events, like a quiet walk or a shared activity that doesn't rely on constant conversation. It is about sending a clear message: I value you for who you are, not for the performance you think I expect. You are safe with me. For families and teachers, this means actively celebrating different ways of being. Encourage a child's deep, passionate interests, even if they seem unusual. Make space for sensory needs. If a child needs to rock or wear headphones to cope, allow it as a valid form of self-regulation, not a behavior to be corrected. In the workplace, this could mean offering written communication options, allowing for flexible work environments, and fostering a culture where asking for accommodations is seen as a strength, not a weakness. When we normalize different needs, we remove the pressure to conform, and the need for the mask begins to fade. Ultimately, supporting an autistic person is about letting go of our own expectations of what is normal or right. The journey of unmasking is a personal one, and it cannot be forced. Our role is simply to be a safe harbor, a calm and steady presence that allows them to explore their authentic self at their own pace. It is about offering unconditional love and acceptance, showing them that the person behind the mask is not only enough, but is someone we are truly eager to know and cherish. By offering this kindness, we give them the most precious gift of all, the freedom to simply be.